It always begins the same way. She looks at you, not for who you are, but for who she imagines you could become. You feel it, don't you? In her eyes, that flicker of hope. Or is it hunger? You think you're being seen. But you're not. You're being measured, scanned, assessed, like a blank canvas, waiting for her to paint a masterpiece. But here's the truth. The masterpiece isn't you, and it never was. Carl Jung warned of this, not with soft motivational words, but with the sharp precision of a man who spent his life staring into the abyss of the human psyche. Jung dedicated his life to exploring the unconscious, that hidden part of the mind operating beneath awareness. And in that exploration, he uncovered something unsettling about women. They don't just fall in love with men. They fall in love with the idea of men, with fantasy, with projection. And the most terrifying part? Most don't even realize they're doing it. You think she's choosing you. She's not. She's choosing a version of you she created in her mind, a puppet cast to play a role in her private movie. And when you no longer fit the script, she replaces the actor, not the story. Jung called this phenomenon the animus, an inner masculine image that lives in every woman. When immature, unchecked, it becomes a tyrant, an unseen force driving women to chase dangerous men and reject good ones, to argue without reason, to moralize without accountability. Jung didn't sugarcoat this. He called it a kind of spiritual possession, where a woman no longer acts from her true self, but from this inner fantasy. And men, you fall for it, because no one taught you to see it. You confuse being desired with being understood. You mistake being chosen for being known. You believe her when she says you're different, when in truth, you're just the latest actor playing a part she's rehearsed since childhood. And when that illusion collapses, when the mask slips, you're left confused, betrayed, humiliated, wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped being convincing in a play that was never yours. Jung taught that the only way out of this psychological theater is through a process called individuation, the journey of becoming whole. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men never start that path. You've been trained to seek approval, to chase validation, to let women define your worth. And as long as you do, you'll keep playing that same role, until the audience gets bored. Individuation isn't glamorous. It's brutal. It forces you to confront your weakness, your insecurity, your brokenness. It requires that you stop blaming women for not seeing you, and start seeing yourself. Because here's what Jung knew, and what most men will never understand. You don't become a man by being chosen. You become a man by choosing yourself. You don't earn worth through her affection. You build it by standing alone, fully awake, fully responsible, fully alive. A man who has faced his unconscious cannot be seduced by projection. He is no longer a puppet in someone else's fantasy. He is the author of his own reality. And this is the tragedy of modern men. It's not rejection that destroys them. It's their willingness to mold themselves into whatever shape they believe will be accepted. You call it compromise. You call it partnership. You call it love. Jung called it self-betrayal. Men who ignore their inner growth become slaves to feminine projection, bending themselves into shapes demanded by women who don't even know their own true desires. You stop being men. You become masks. Smiling, nodding, agreeing, performing, until you forget who you were before the mask. And women, they sense this, far more than you realize. What you think will make her love you, obedience, predictability, availability, will instead kill her attraction. Why? Because the feminine isn't drawn to comfort. It's drawn to mystery, to risk, to the man she cannot fully define or control. The moment you make yourself fully known, without boundaries, without a backbone, you don't become lovable. You become disposable. But here's the paradox. You fear being alone more than being fake. You'd rather lose yourself than lose her. You'd rather play a role than face the terror of standing alone without applause. Yet Jung taught, until a man embraces solitude, he will never be free. Individuation, he wrote, is a path not for the faint-hearted. It requires you to die before you die, to let false versions of yourself burn so that something real can emerge. But here's a truth no one says. Individuation is lonely, terrifyingly lonely. Because on that path, you begin to see the games people play, the masks they wear, the lies they tell themselves. And when you speak the truth you now see, they'll mock you. They'll say you're cold, arrogant, too serious. They'll blame you. But you're not the problem. You're the mirror. And people hate the mirror when it shows them what they don't want to face. Jung knew this well. He spent years studying those too terrified to confront their shadow. And women, he warned, are often raised in cultures that reward them for avoiding this confrontation, praised for being pure, emotional, intuitive, as if already complete. But Jung didn't buy it. He wrote that the greatest danger to women was their unconscious animus, the false certainty, false authority, false moral superiority it projected. And when that projection goes unintegrated, the woman becomes a prisoner of it, blaming men for the war she refuses to fight within herself. And here you are, thinking you'll be the exception. Thinking if you love her hard enough, prove yourself loud enough, she'll finally see you. But projection doesn't work that way. It steals reality and replaces it with illusion. And unless both men and women wake up, they'll repeat this same tragic cycle, blaming each other for a dance with shadows. And here's the cruelest irony. The woman who once saw you as her hero will come to resent you, not because you changed, but because you failed to fulfill a fantasy you never even knew you were cast to play. You didn't lie to her. You didn't betray her. You simply weren't the imaginary man in her mind. And Jung called this inevitable, when neither party takes responsibility for their inner world. You think you're being romantic when you say, "I'd do anything for her." But Jung would tell you, that's not love. That's refusal to carry your own soul. It's easier to project your worth onto a woman, to make her the carrier of your meaning, because then you don't have to face your own emptiness. But here's the brutal truth. No woman can hold the weight of a man who refuses to hold himself. And when she drops it, you'll feel betrayed. But you shouldn't. You should thank her. Because in that moment, when the illusion shatters, you face the truth. The work of becoming a man was never hers to do. It was always yours. And in that raw clarity, you have two choices. You can blame her. You can grow bitter. You can join the chorus of men who resent women. Or you can do what Jung demanded. Turn inward. Begin the lonely, liberating work of becoming whole, without needing anyone to complete you. Because the truth is, the woman you're searching for, she is a reflection of the part of yourself you've abandoned. Until you face that part, every relationship will be performance. Every connection a transaction. Every love a lie. But once you face it, once you integrate, everything changes. You become grounded, rooted, fully alive. And paradoxically, this is when women will be most drawn to you. Not because you need them, but because you don't. You'll smile. Not because you're heartless, but because you finally understand. She's on her own journey too. You cannot save her. You cannot fight her battles. You can only walk your own path so fearlessly that you become a living mirror, reflecting truth to all who dare to look. Most will turn away, but a rare few will thank you. And that is the difference between being loved for the role you play and being respected for the man you've become. And when that happens, you'll notice something. People will become uncomfortable around you. They'll sense it, even if they can't name it, because you no longer fit the roles that made them feel safe. Jung warned The individuated man is not welcomed by society. He is feared, misunderstood, labeled as distant, arrogant. But the truth is, he has simply become untouchable, unmanipulable. He sees the game, and no longer plays. And here's the final irony. The very people who once craved your attention will resent you for not needing theirs. Women especially will accuse you of being emotionally unavailable. But what they really mean is, they can no longer control you. You've stepped off the stage. You've stopped reading from their script. And without that script, they don't know what to do with you. You've stopped being a character, and started being a man. And in that space, that freedom, you'll realize something profound. The work of becoming whole was never about winning her. It was about freeing yourself. And in that freedom, you finally become real.